Happy beautiful Monday, people. I have so much and I don't know where to start. So I was originally gonna go live. I wanted to go live to kind of start letting my story unfold, and everywhere that I hit to try to just go live, just roadblock after roadblock because I have no followers. I haven't been on social media. Like, what do I expect? I have not been on social media for 3 years, really. I have not been creating content. Some of you OGs might remember during my bodybuilding competition days, that was when I was doing all the health and fitness and wellness posting. And then I just kind of dropped off, dropped out, and dropped out to drop in. If you get that reference, you get that reference. But I went through a lot in the last 3 years, and I'm finally on the other side of it. And there's so much that goes into this story. I mean, I'm talking, those 3 years were such a metaphysical transformation time. I can't even begin to explain, and I don't know why it happened the way it did. I just trust that it all unfolds the way it's supposed to. Same thing with this. Like, I kept hitting resistance going live. I know I want to get this story out authentically. I know that I have no idea where to start from, but that I need to start. And so, you know what? I was like, let's just start recording, basically. And like, I can post it whenever I want, wherever I want, whatever. So I guess I'm not really sure exactly, like I said, where to start, but I guess what I can say is this is a very multifaceted, multi-dimensional story. And of course, it's not only my own, because we are never islands. A man is never an island. And so this also, of course, has a lot to do with my family and everything else. And I feel like I've been alluding to this and just not been able to say it because it's not something that the current structure of our society allows to be talked about freely without some sort of, I don't know, retaliation or negative connotation or questioning. I mean, so many different things. I'm at a point where I don't give a fuck anymore, because for 45 years, I lived the way that society wanted me to live, and it kept me disconnected from my true self. I have had a spiritual awakening, for lack of a better term, and coincidentally, my husband actually had a near death experience. And I'm not going to talk on that, but just as my situation is multifaceted, so is his. And of course, his situation affected me a lot. And I think that it was almost like the end of the initiation, and then it was like the doorway into so much. Like I said, I don't know where to start because there's so many layers to this. So many layers. And so I guess I'll just start at the beginning. I was born into your typical American middle-class white family. I was raised with love. I was raised in your traditional Mormon family. And if anyone's been raised in a traditional Christian household that's immersive, you know how intense that is. So I was raised with ideologies that were God, Christ, evil, devil, hell, multiple kingdoms to get to heaven. Like, oh, you can't just be good, you gotta be exceptional, perfect. So there's always this level of striving for perfection. And as a child, I'd always been very spiritually inclined, spiritually curious, empathetic, all of those things. And so I really, I gobbled up all of the teachings. I really did. I really internalized them. But then, of course, I get into my teenage years, and there's just something not clicking for me when it comes to the institution, the institution of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon institution. And we are seeing that so much now. That's why this is so multi-layered. Um, that a lot of these structures, these ideologies have been institutionalized. And for a lot of us, it just doesn't nurture our authentic path and purpose. And that's how I was feeling. And that was a time in my life where I felt very internally conflicted and externally, because I have this wonderful family who has loved me, cared for me, nurtured me so well, and is this part of this beautiful community. I also understand and recognize that there's a lot coming out right now about that community. And of course, like everything on this earth, in this realm, there's two sides to every story. Some people are going to have that negative experience that we're hearing about now. We hear a lot about the sexual abuse, manipulation, things like that. I am going to say that that was not my experience. Did I see it? Yes, I did. I did see it. And I didn't realize I was seeing it until, of course, you're out of it. But I was never sexually abused, and I never had anything like that. So, beautiful religion. You have this beautiful family, you have this beautiful religion. How do you turn your back on it? That is like turning your back on God. But there was this part of me that just knew, I'm not going to find myself here. I'm not going to find, I don't want to say I'm not going to find God here, because I did find God there. But there's just more to it, and I knew that. And I knew that some things weren't clicking with the ideologies. There was misinterpretations. I didn't know it at the time. Anyways, I knew that, I also knew that I wanted to have a profound purpose on this earth. I wanted my life to be one of serving a purpose for God. That's really what I wanted. And it was actually very crushing when I couldn't find that in the Mormon faith. So I didn't know what to do. So I wandered. I mean, I really did. I wandered. And a part of wandering was trying to find jobs where I was helping people. I didn't even know that's what I was doing, but that's what I was doing. So I was trying to find jobs to help people. And one job that I fell into was, I got my EMT. I started working as a tech in an ER in another city that I was living in at the time. That eventually led to me getting my paramedic and working on a 911 service in my current city. I was working in that capacity, frontline capacity, first responder capacity, for almost 20 years. I wasn't satisfied with the job. Big surprise, because I don't know who I am. How am I going to know what to do? I wasn't satisfied with the job. And of course, like, there's a lot that you see and a lot that you carry for people with that job. And I want to highlight that, because that job is not for the weak at all. And I thought I was very strong and dealing very well with that trauma until 2023, when I decided to retire, hang up my paramedic stethoscope, and see what else was out there for me, because I knew there was something else. That was the beginning of the hardest and darkest 3 years of my life that I am just now on the other side of. And it was what I had to go through to actually find my purpose. But it's more than that, because it's not like I could have discovered anything sooner. I had to live all those lives, and I felt like I lived a lot of lives. I've done a lot of things. I've had a lot of jobs. I've seen a lot of different aspects of human nature. I've seen a lot of different ways that humans choose to live. I've seen the spectrum. I've seen the very, 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 very poor, and I've worked with the very, very, very affluent. And I will tell you something, no one has it figured out. It's all just different problems, right? And it's all connected to the issue of the fact that when we come here, we aren't given the knowledge of who we are. We forget, right? Our job is to remember, and so much now is all falling into place. And this is bigger than you guys can even know. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about it live instead of just some like silly little video series. Now, I think this might be where I wrap this first video up, because it is getting very long and I don't want to edit these videos. You can already see how by the time I got to 40, I was 42 at the time when I retired from paramedicine, and you can already see the layers of trauma, conditioning that can easily be stacked up within one's lives. Right? I mean, just preach. So, just being born into this status of, okay, I'm human, but I'm white, I'm female, I'm Mormon, I'm all of these things as a baby, right? Like, here's your structure, here's what you're born into, here's the belief system you're born into. Here you go. Now try to remember who you are and who everyone else is, and that we're all equally divine and all equal beautiful manifestations of God. Now, how do you remember that? Then you tag on the trauma of seeing all the devastation I saw just as a paramedic. People hurting each other, the shit we do to each other, say to each other, like all of that trauma, 20 years of that trauma. Then you got the last 3 years, and that's where the beauty happened. But this was my, what is now kind of being revealed as like this oscillating moment. We have moments in our lives, we pulse through our lives, right? Like our heart beats through our lives, it pushes our blood forward. We pulse through our lives in different stages, and those pulsations push us forward onto our next step. It's already happened many times in my life. I just didn't recognize it for what it was. And I didn't recognize this for what it was until I was already almost through it. And it's getting through it that some people don't. Some people don't make it. I almost didn't make it. I had terrible, terrible, terrible thoughts. Awful mental health. Horrible, horrible. But I did find the light. I pushed through. I waited. I believed. I had faith. I felt the pain. I looked in the mirrors that were being presented to me. And after looking through all those projections and reflections, I was given a gift. And now I feel the responsibility of sharing that gift. My story has a lot. We're talking spiritual experiences. We're talking near-death tragedies. We're talking having to pivot. We're talking health issues. We're talking my body screaming at me to wake up. I know I'm not the only one. And I know that if we can all recognize how hard life is, how hard it is just to remember who we are, we can make this world a lot better. And that's what I want to try and do. So that was a snippet of my story. And this is what I'm going to start hopefully talking more and more about and sharing. Because there's a lot of healing that's out there. And I think that a lot of times our misconceptions or stigmas around things keep us from utilizing tools that are also here to heal you, even if they have a negative stigma. And psychedelics, plant medicine, is something that really helped get me through this time and make it to the other side. To be able to see the moments for what they were, the contraction, the pressure, all of it was for me to grow and bloom and essentially turn coal into a diamond. So now I am trusting everything completely. I quit my job. I started a nonprofit called Frontline Phoenix. And of course, all of this was already in the works when my community was hit by yet another tragedy. And I don't want that happening anymore. It doesn't need to happen anymore. There's beautiful gifts out here to help you remember, to help you get through those deep, dark, scary times and show you that there is always light on the other side. Sounds crazy, but that's my message. I am trying to document how I bring my story to the light, how I also share what has helped me get to this place that's still very, very, very new and very fresh, but I know I need to share. And I'm also sharing to show you what it looks like to have a very messy start. A very messy start to a whole new who knows what. And that's what Frontline Phoenix is for me. It's a whole new project in order for me to help others get to the place where they're ready to receive the medicine that they deserve. And everyone deserves it, but at the same time, it's not always for everyone at every point in your life. And there needs to be education and there needs to be respect around these things. And I want to share that. So yeah, I guess this will be video number 1, completely unedited, completely authentic. No mic, no nothing. I had this whole setup, and since I couldn't go live, I was like, fuck it, I'm just so tired of keeping my mouth shut. And I need to share. So, website's up. It's taking donations. I am gonna start. I'm just gonna start. And that's all you guys need to do too. And this is the beauty of it, is that by doing this, by following your intuition, fucking wholeheartedly, blindly, if you will, but with full trust, like you can start whatever, whenever. And I'm hoping that this documentation of my process will not only inspire other people to begin for their own, but that we can all recognize that by allowing everyone to have the capacity to live authentically, that we can reestablish unity and connection and everything that we know our world is desperate for right now. That's how you become an insurgent. You live authentically. You don't participate in the systems that don't nurture you. You say no, you have those boundaries. I've had to do that and it's scary. It's scary as hell. But I'm already happier. I already feel calmer. My poor nervous system has got a lot of rewiring to do, but I already know I'm on the right track. And yeah, it's going to be messy. It's going to be, at some point, it's got to be funny. I hope. And then, of course, inspiring. And please, 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 if there's anyone that you know that is contemplating suicide, who needs some help, who is curious about what other alternative therapies there are to help them through their oscillating moment, their compression, the point in which they can't hide from the mirrors anymore. There is hope, and it's not in a pill. It's in the earth, it's from nature, it's from God, it's pure, and when you're ready for it, you will know. You'll know, because you can't mess it up. Can't mess it up. All right, this is it, unedited. I'm done. Check out the website, please donate, and then hopefully eventually I'll get enough followers to start going live. But for now, this is what you get, especially from a Gen X. Yeah, baby, I'm Gen X, not even a millennial. So social media and me, we're gonna have to learn to love each other, and it might be a rough road. But seriously, you guys, like, all the love, all the peace, and all that hippie shit, because that's what we're needing. Bye.